What's up? Que lo que et salut, world language teachers. Welcome to the Practical Proficiency Podcast, where we make the transition to proficiency-oriented instruction in your world language class in a way that works for you, your unique context and teaching style, and doesn't sacrifice your well-being along the way. I'm your host, Devin Gunning, the teacher, author, conference host, curriculum creator, and consultant behind Libre Language Learning. This podcast is for the creative world language teacher like you, who's ready to ditch the overwhelming pressure of switching to acquisition-driven instruction and CI overnight. You're ready to discover how using more target language in class can actually bring you and your students more joy instead of adding to your plate. With practical, authentic, and down-to-earth strategies that don't require reinventing the wheel or more training, we'll work together towards the magic of a community-based, target language-rich classroom rooted in the power of community and comprehensible input. Let's go! Everybody, to the Practical Proficiency Podcast. I have a very special guest with me here today. I am your host, Devin of Libre Language Learning, or Libre Language Learning if you teach Spanish. But I have here with me today the amazing Courtney of Llearning Llama, who is part of our special series to get to know our presenters for this year's summer conference, which we hold annually. And for 2024, it's Practical and Comprehensible. Celebrate. This year we get to celebrate you. And I'm excited about this opportunity to celebrate speakers as well, because Courtney has been a speaker before. So this is going to be a great opportunity for us to get to know you better before the conference, or even y'all, if you're watching this afterwards, get a little behind the scenes as well. Courtney is the leader behind Llearning Llama, and she's in her 8th year of teaching Spanish. Her experience is mainly as a high school teacher, but she's taught every level from preschool through Spanish 4 honors. And currently, Courtney is a part-time virtual Spanish teacher and a stay-at-home mom to her 2 young kids. She has a master's in foreign language teaching, and she loves providing teachers with authentic and practical activities to make Spanish class fun. She has a passion for virtual field trips. Oh, me too. I love virtual field trips. Proficiency-based tasks and incorporating culture in the classroom. Courtney, bienvenida. Welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to have this teacher chat with you and learn a little bit more about your classroom. You have a really unique topic this year for Practical and Comprehensible, all about presenting lessons based in art and artful activities. So give us the goods. Tell us a little bit more about you and about this really cool idea that you're going to be telling us more about.
All right. Thanks for having me, Devin. I'm really excited to be here. As you said, this is my 8th year of teaching Spanish coming up. And I've transitioned to the virtual world, which is exciting and different, from being in a brick and mortar school. So now I'm teaching virtually students that don't have access to a world language teacher at their school, which kind of is a powerful way to teach a language when students don't have many opportunities because they're in rural areas. So providing that need for them is really, it's impactful for them. So I'm loving that aspect of teaching this year. And as you said, also, I provide a lot of resources for other teachers. So I have my blog where I share tips for Spanish teachers and world language teachers. And I have a Teachers Pay Teachers store where I also sell those resources. My goal is to make it easy for the teachers, but also fun for the kids. So they're learning without, this is Spanish and it's like a chore and I have to just get this task over with. I want them to kind of forget that they're learning the language and just, this is fun. This is engaging.
That's really powerful what you're saying too about the flipping the script on virtual teaching, that it's a very impactful way for you to teach because a lot of your students don't have access to a teacher otherwise. So tell me more about what your classrooms look like right now. Like, are they big? Are they small? Whereabouts are they? Because I definitely get a couple questions every year about I'm virtual and it's very different, but I like your approach to it. That's I'm down for this new adventure. This is a cool new way to give world language to people.
Yeah, this is I think going on my 4th year with this company with World of Learning, and the class sizes are always different. We basically fill needs at whatever schools come to us and say, you know what, we're in the teacher shortage and we can't find a Spanish teacher. We can't find a Latin teacher. Or we have 3 students that took French. Our teacher retired. They want to continue on to French 3. Can you fill that need? So no matter what language, we have a plethora of teachers filling that need. And it's just great to see all these kids that sometimes we combine schools, so they're getting to meet students from other states.
Cool.
It's very cool. And we're providing, it's all practical. It's all comprehensible input based. I just redesigned a Spanish 3 course. So it's all about pop culture. It's really fun for the kids. And it's, what I like most about it is that it's proficiency based. We're aligned with ARTful. We're doing everything that world language classes that you think of are doing. We're doing it just in a virtual format. So these students still get that world language class that they either need for a checklist or that they really want, but they can't get at their school.
Okay, so this is a springboard question, but I have to ask because this is something that I get asked a lot in my membership with teachers who also have like a virtual component to what they're doing. And what advice do you have for teachers who are also virtual when it comes time to do speaking activities? Because if you've been doing this for a while, I know the lowdown on this, and it's a different environment now that we're past like the first throes and waves of COVID. Like students are used to being in a virtual environment, so it really does feel different for them. So when it comes time for speaking activities, what are some of your go-tos in a virtual environment?
I think the first thing to set the tone for the year is I say, you know what, every time you come into the room, we tend to have our mics off. We tend to be a little bit hesitant. But I say, no, we're doing the opposite. You come in, I want your mic on. I want you to greet me as if you're walking through my door at the class, standing in the hallway, and I'm always standing out there saying hi to you. Same idea. You come in, you can say hi to me. And that kind of breaks down the barrier of, oh my gosh, we're face to face, but there's a screen in front of me so I can hide behind it. I want them to feel like we're still there together. So you have to set that tone from day one, and then they kind of are more comfortable for speaking assessments. And then I do a lot of keeping the mic on throughout the class. And you might think, oh, what about the feedback? But it's when I say, okay, I want you to turn and talk, and you're going to talk about this prompt. I want their mics on. And even though I can't hear everyone clearly, they know I'm listening. It holds them a little bit more accountable. So I know that they're practicing. And I can hear some common mistakes, so that way we can come back together and review. So I always keep the mics on during those activities. And then one more thing, and I know we all use this, are the breakout rooms. Students do so much better in a small group setting. The pressure's off, everyone's not watching them, and you can provide instant feedback. So I really utilize the breakout rooms in Zoom.
Whoa, that's so simple, but what a game changer of changing the whole feel of a room. Like you even feel that when you're an adult and you walk into, but going into a Zoom and your mic is automatically turned off and your camera is automatically turned off. Everything is different when you're treating it as close to being in a real room as possible. That's such a simple and great idea.
Yeah, you do have to stay on top of it though, because after a few classes, the kids are like, this is like my other Zooms. I can just turn it off. She'll forget. And if you keep on them, they will keep it up and they'll be happy to see you and greet you when you start the lesson.
What a good differentiation too. This is not like your other classes. We're doing this differently. Oh,
yeah, the expectation is that we're talking. Yeah.
All right. So I have to ask you then about your really interesting topic that you have here. When you presented this to me for Practical and Comprehensible this year, I was so excited. And I know that a lot of other teachers are going to be excited about this too. So without further ado, Courtney's presenting about ARTful Lesson Planning, 12 simple lessons for any art unit. So I know all the Spanish teachers who are listening are freaking out right now because we love to teach about art. And so do the French teachers, but the Spanish teachers especially because oh, let me go this way. There's so many amazing artists in the whole realm of culture that are really, really fun for us to teach about. However, I know you know as well as I do that it can come off as these are my favorite artists, and you end up talking all about what you love. And so I'm excited to hear about. Tell us about what are these activities? Which one is your favorite that you're going to tell us about in this presentation?
Yeah, so just to start, I absolutely love teaching about art. It's probably my favorite unit. I originally went to school for arts administration. So
Ooh.
managing like an art gallery or a theater, anything like that. And then transitioned back to teaching because I had minored in Spanish. And so I love combining the art and the Spanish. So one of the things I think is most important when doing art is making it authentic. And I love, you can kind of springboard your whole unit on this idea of a gallery, creating a gallery in your classroom. And even if you print the pictures off and laminate them, you've got a beautiful color printer. That's the most authentic way to do it. If you don't have access to that, use Chromebooks, set them up around the room, display the pictures. You can change them frequently. It's a little bit more easy that way, I guess. But you want to set it up so students kind of feel like they're in the art gallery. And then from there, you have tons of activities you could do. So a lot of the 12 simple lessons I'll share during my presentation at the conference can be springboard from that. But my favorite is kind of doing a scavenger hunt. And I did this first when I taught Frida Kahlo. My colleague and I had art galleries set up around the room of all of Frida's paintings. And we gave students a list of questions and they had to go look for how many paintings does Frida show blood in? And they had to go around and look for all her drops of blood. In which painting do you see a deer? Well, it's called The Wounded Deer. Which painting would have this title? And then you create a fake title. So doing a scavenger hunt to really get them looking at the artwork, I think is so fun. And it's more than just like, we're looking at boring artwork. It makes it more of a game for them.
That's a great idea. That would be really, really fun too, especially with the prolific nature of artists. You probably have a lot of options for them to look at. Mm-hmm. Who is your favorite artist to teach about?
So like your Frida painting, I love Frida so much. And you said, you don't want them to hear, oh, this is my favorite artist. This is why, all about that. So I could teach about Frida forever and ever. Mm-hmm. But I think Salvador Dali is really fun to teach about because he and his artworks are so eccentric. Like you look at his works and you're like, what is this? And that's kind of why it's fun. Each student has their own idea and you hear it and you're like, I never even thought of that. Like they've surprised me before. And his paintings are also really busy. There's a lot going on that doesn't make sense. So students can simply just say there is an elephant. The elephant has long legs. So even just describing his paintings is a great language activity. So even if you have beginner novice level students, you can use his artwork for that. You can go deeper with intermediate and advanced students and kind of dive into, well, what does it mean? And talk about why he would have created it, what those symbols represent. And one of the activities I'll share about, and this is really fun, is to use your 5 senses to describe an artwork. So with his famous artwork, The Persistence of Memory, I don't know if you've seen that one, like with the melting clocks.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like this figure in the middle, and some people say, oh, it looks like an ear. Some people say it looks like an animal. It's supposed to be his self-portrait, and students have to like think, okay, what would that smell like? Is it dying? Is it decomposing? What would it feel like? Am I feeling the sand in the desert? Would I smell the salt from the water? So hearing them describe what they would do if they were there is really cool.
Oh yeah, that must be really transportive for them and fun. And what a great prompt for them. That's way more interesting than probably a lot of the other like everyday prompts that they get.
Right? Like, what do you think about this? How does it make you feel? Let me touch on that. We do, but like this makes them really dig deep before we start to talk about, well, what did Dali really mean by it?
I bet you that comes too from your art gallery background, is you know how to tap on like, how would you feel if you were in this painting? Like, what does this make you think of and all that? So thanks for sharing that with us. That's a great idea with the 5 senses. With that same idea, it makes me think of, and correct me if this is the wrong artist, but like, isn't Fernando Botero the guy with like the big rotund art from Colombia? That would be so much fun to describe with students too, and ask them to talk about all of the, what would be a good word for that? Like, exaggerated proportions. What a fun activity that you could do with them with that same.
It is. And like everything he painted was exaggerated. When I've taught him before, it's been like the guitars are, the fruit is, so everything is it's boterismo. It's really his style. It's very cool.
Oh, so fun. I have so many ideas already just thinking about it. So I bet you could even do this and sprinkle it in, even if you don't want to do like a full art unit. Like when it comes time, after you watch this presentation, you'll have so many ideas in your back pocket that you can even transfer to, like when it comes time to describe a more interesting picture.
Yeah, that's a good point, because you can use art in any unit. Like, for example, when I teach about family life, we think about the holidays, the celebrations. A really good artist, Carmen Lomas Garza, and I don't think I talk about this in my presentation, so here's a bonus, is that she painted all about her life, her family life in Mexico. And you can get these 2 children's books on Amazon even, Carmen Lomas Garza, and it's her paintings of them making tamales, of them reading La Llorona with their grandmother out on the porch, and using that artwork to talk about family life. So even though you're not necessarily describing the art and analyzing the art, you're using her paintings, which are her real life childhood memories, to then talk about the family life. One that comes to mind is there's a picture of La Quinceañera, and the girls are walking up the steps to the church. And you can analyze this beautiful piece of artwork, but we're really focused more on the theme of the celebrations. So that's a way to combine art and a typical topic in your curriculum.
Oh, it's so vivid and so much more engaging. And I bet you it drives tons more inquiry and questions when you're using that type of resource instead of something as simple as like, let's use a stock image for family. Like, ooh.
Yeah. And I love that these artists often have descriptions of their paintings too. So you're getting what they mean by it and maybe a little bit of their culture or history behind it. So you're adding that on top of it, and it hopefully comes in the target language so you don't have to write anything.
Yeah, that's the name of the game, right? Is as much as you can do that. And speaking of which too, I know that like as a fellow resource creator, you know the importance of like providing content for teachers and making it easy for them. So tell us a little bit more about Llearning Llama. What kind of things you love to make, and what are your resources? Give us all the goods. And of course, all the links will be provided below, y'all, in the show notes.
Yeah, as you mentioned at the beginning in my bio, I love making virtual field trips, taking students on anything that's authentic, that gets them out of the classroom, doing a lot of art activities, obviously. I also do a lot of integrated performance assessments, and I presented on that last year at Practical and Comprehensible. So the 3-part assessment that instead of taking a final exam, now students are reading, writing, speaking all about one topic. It's all proficiency based. So I love IPAs, anything that just gets students learning about culture. So I try to do a lot of, I don't know, maybe it's learning about fun facts about countries. Maybe it's music, anything like that that's going to get students eager to learn more.
That's so cool. Thank you for sharing that with us and all of these resources. We cannot wait to see your presentation. It goes live between July 29th and 31st. And of course, if you get the all access pass, you will have access to it 4 days earlier on July 25th, if you're watching this when it goes live. And Courtney, thank you so much for being a partner with Practical and Comprehensible. I always love having you. And do you have any last parting thoughts for the audience? What do you hope that they get to enjoy, or something that they get out of working more with art in their world language classroom?
I would say that even your students that say, I'm not an artist, or I hate art, you're going to hear that they still will enjoy these lessons. Even if you have students make their own art, those students that say, I'm not an artist, I don't want to draw, they will still have fun. They will still find something for them. And I think that there'll be some sort of light that goes off, that they're like, you know what, that was actually pretty cool. It's not like art class. We're not taking an art class. We're still taking Spanish, but adding all these elements of art. And you're going to see your students do creative things and come up with ideas that you yourself would not have thought of. And that's what's really cool about these lessons that I'm sharing with you. You're going to walk away from this presentation saying, I'm going to implement this, and I know my students are going to come up with something really, really cool.
That's amazing. Oh, I'm so excited for everybody to hear more about ARTful Lesson Planning. Thank you so much for carving some of your really important time out for this. Courtney right now is in her maternity leave, so being a super madre, we really appreciate it. And we can't wait to hear more about this at PNC in just a few weeks. It's coming, y'all. And then if you watch this later, you, of course, will be able to hear more about art anytime. Hang out with Courtney. You'll see all the links below. And thank you again. We will
Thanks, Devin.
see you next time. Bye.